परमं च परिव्राजकाचार्य सविचरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद चंद्रा श्रीमद् भागवतम की वृंद देवी तुलसी महारानी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 1, chapter number 10, entitled Departure of Lord Krishna for Dwaraka, text number 4. Kamam Vavarsha Parjanya. Kamam Vavarsha Parjanya. Kamam Vavarsha Parjanya.
Kamam Vavarsha Parjanya.
Vakamadugamhi.
Dugamai.
Dugamahi.
Sarvakama Dugamai.
Shichu Sma Vrajan Gavaha. Shishichu Sma Vrajan Gavaha. Payosaha Udaswathir Muda. Payaso Daswathir Muda. Payaso Daswathir Muda. Kamam Vavarsha Parjanya. Sarvakama Dugamahi. Shishichu Sma Vrajan Gavaha. Ayasodasvatirmuda.
Swatirmuda.
Can you repeat?
Kamam Vavarshya Parjanya. Sarvakama Dudamati. Shishu Sma Brajan Gavaha. Payasoda Swatirmuda.
Pavarshavajanyaha
Amam Varshaparjanyah.
Sarvakamadughamani
Sarvakamadugamhi.
Shishitosma Vrajangavaha
Ishitosma Prajangavaha.
Yasodasvatirmuda
Ayasodasvatirmuda.
कामं ववर्षपर्जन्यः
Kamam Vavarshya
सर्वकामदुघामहि
Sarvakama Dudamati.
दिशिचु स्म व्रजाङ्गावः
Shishitosma Vrajangavaha.
यशोधस्वतीर्मुदा
Ayasodasvatirmuda.
Anybody from Mataji's or online?
कामं ववर्ष्यपर्जन्यः
Parjanyah.
कामदुघामहि
Sarvakama Dudamati.
प्रजाङ्गावः
Shishitosma Vrajangavaha.
स्वतीर्मुदा
Ayasodasvatirmuda.
Kamam.
Kamam.
Everything needed.
Everything needed.
Varsha.
Varsha.
Was showered.
Whatever.
Parjanyah.
Parjanyah.
Rains.
Rains.
Sarva.
Sarva.
Everything.
Everything.
Kama.
Kama.
Necessities.
Necessity.
Duga.
Duga.
Producer.
Producer.
Mahi.
Mahi.
The land.
Loving.
Shishichu.
Shishu.
Sma.
Ma.
Moisten.
Moisten.
Rajan.
Rajan.
Pasturing grounds.
Pasturing ground.
Gavaha.
Bhava.
The cow.
Rao.
Paisa Udaswati.
Vayasa Udaswati.
Due to swollen milk bags.
Due to swollen milk bags.
Mudha.
Muda.
Because of a joyful attitude.
Because of the technical attitude.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charana Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. During the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthira, the clouds showered all the water that people needed, and the earth produced all the necessities of man in profusion. Due to its fatty milk bag and cheerful attitude, the cow used to moisten the grazing ground with milk. Kindly repeat the translation. During the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthira,
During
the clouds showered all the water that people needed, and the earth produced all the necessities of man in profusion. Due to its fatty milk bag and cheerful attitude, the cow used to moisten the grazing ground with milk. Can anybody read purport for me?
Yes.
I need to speak.
The basic principle of economic development is centered about land and cows. The necessities of human society are food grains, fruits, milk, minerals, clothing, wood, etc. One requires all these items to fulfill the material needs of the body. Certainly, one does not require flesh and fish or iron tools and machinery.
So here, most important thing here is, now Prabhupada is talking about economic development. Okay, he's not talking about prema. Okay, now we are talking about dharma, artha, kama, moksha, right? In the four, purusharthas, the dharma, artha, second one is about the artha, right? Not necessarily everybody in the Pandava, in the Yudhishthira's time, not necessarily everybody was following Daivi Varnashrama. There is a difference between Daivi Varnashrama and Varnashrama, right? But Varnashrama existed. right? So now you're talking about a different type of economic model, economic development. Okay, so let us have that particular context. And as I also mentioned, that this is one of the most important verses I always consider in the Bhagavatam. Okay, especially the last paragraph has a very nice conclusion. Okay, beautiful conclusion. Okay, so let's read on. Pay that attention fully. Hmm?
During the regime of Maharaj Yudhishthira, all over the world, there were regulated rainfalls. Rainfalls are not in the control of the human being. The heavenly king, the king Indra is the controller of rains, and he is the servant of the Lord. When the Lord is obeyed by the king and the people under the king's administration, there are regulated rains from the horizon, and these rains are the cause of all varieties of production on the land. Regulated rains not only help ample production of grains and fruits, but when they combine with astronomical influences, there is ample production of valuable stones and pearls.
Now, what is the important thing which Prabhupada is putting up uh, a postulation, a very important statement which he's telling is that whatever are the essential necessities of life are not created by man. Okay? All the essential necessities of life are given by Mother Nature on the direction of the Supreme Lord, the Father. Okay? So now we come in between. We apply our so-called intelligence. Like I remember last 4 months back when I was in Dubai, somebody said that, so Prabhu, today they have sent around the aircraft above and they were trying to seed the clouds to reduce the heat in Dubai. Okay. Okay. So then how do you say that there are, only, I mean, how do you say that humans cannot influence those laws of material nature? Huh? How do you say that humans cannot influence the laws of material nature? Well, the point here is that, there is a symptomatic way of dealing with the situation and understanding the root cause of the situation and addressing the issue at the root cause. Well, symptomatically, we can deal with certain laws as far as our intelligence has allowed us to understand the particular laws. And we may not be pretty sure that the laws will always work. So once, Chanchalapati Prabhu also gave this example, which was covered in the BTG, Back to Godhead magazines, I think in around 80s or so. Okay. So I think this is during the reign of Gorbachev or maybe a previous, USSR president. Now we are talking about when USSR existed as USSR, not as Russia. Okay, it was a powerful communistic country. Okay, on the day when they take out the entire army on the Red Square, okay, to demonstrate. I mean, it is there. I think one of their Independence Day or something like that, Formation Day or something like that. Huh? So it was very cloudy, but ultimately Moscow is in the north, very closer to northern hemisphere, right? Sorry. So Moscow is very closer to northern hemisphere. They send out the aircrafts to dispel the clouds so that there is enough reasonable because they cannot move the sun anyway. They are in the northern hemisphere. Okay, reasonably they can make the light come in, right? So they were doing all of these things, but unfortunately they couldn't deal with one thing, the president's health. The president was not healthy enough that day, and he couldn't, witness the entire big parade. So the point here is that the scientists and all of them are trying to deal with one level of laws of nature, be it the scientists or the humanists, somebody who are is studying the humanities. Okay, they all forget to deal with the root cause of the issue. Okay, so let's read on. Yeah.
Grains and vegetables can sumptuously feed a man and animals, and a fatty cow delivers enough milk to supply a man sumptuously with vigor and vitality. If there is enough milk, enough grains, enough fruit, enough cotton, enough silk, and enough jewels, then why do the people need cinemas, houses of prostitution, slaughterhouses, etc.? What is the need of an artificial, luxurious life of cinema, cars, radio, flesh, and hotels? Has this civilization produced anything but quarreling individually and nationally? Has this civilization enhanced the cause of equality and fraternity by sending thousands of men into a hellish factory on the war fields at the whims of a particular man?
Okay, so this is again interesting, construct which Prabhupada is now comparing now. So there are two columns are there. That should be there in your mind. There should be two. There are two columns are there. Something is solution from the modern civilization, modern understanding. Another thing is solution which Prabhupada is giving for economic development. Okay, so how both are comparing with each other is what we have to mentally have a map. So here Prabhupada is talking about there are so many things which are naturally available. Okay, naturally we have to depend upon. Okay, next. Mataji.
It said here that the cows used to moisten the pasturing land with milk because their milk bags were fatty and the animals were joyful. Do they not require, therefore, the proper protection for a joyful life by being fed with sufficient quantity of grass in the field? Why should men kill cows for their selfish purposes? Why should man not be satisfied with grains, fruits, and milk, which combined together can produce hundreds and thousands of palatable dishes? Why are there slaughterhouses all over the world to kill innocent animals? Maharaj Parikshit, grandson of Maharaj Yudhishthira, while touring his vast kingdom, saw a black man attempting to kill a cow. The king at once arrested the butcher and chastised him sufficiently. Should not a king or an executive head protect the lives of the poor animals who are unable to defend themselves? Is this humanity? Are not the animals of a country citizens also? Then why are they allowed to be butchered in organized slaughterhouses? Are these signs of equality and fraternity or non-violence?
So very interesting questions. Prabhupada is now talking about very strong questions. Huh? So at the whims of few men, thousands of people are sent to factories. Thousands and thousands of people are sent to even IT companies. Correct? Huh? Thousands and thousands of people are made to work slog and pay EMIs. Right? So the entire system of economic development is meant towards exploitation. Okay, so what is the essential feeling you will get out of this paragraph? Exploitation. There is somebody who is exploiting and there is somebody who is exploited. And because there is always two, exploited and exploiter, both are there, always there is some kind of a,
How's
you
the
know,
taste?
sorry? Yeah. Always there is some kind of a, agitation, there is some kind of a rivalry, tariffs, or now we saw, some war yesterday. it took place. It's all about exploitation. So, is economic development going to be achieved only through exploitative mentality? Or is there any other alternative mentality? Is a question which we have to now think about. Hmm? Continue.
In contrast with the modern,
You can be louder, Mataji.
therefore, in contrast with modern advanced civilized form of government, an autocracy like Maharaj Yudhishthira is by far superior to so-called democracy in which animals are killed and man less than an animal is allowed to cast votes for another less than animal man.
So here Prabhupada is talking about, now have that mindset of the exploited and all of those things and all. Now you assess this. In democracy, what is happening? Everybody is having the mindset of exploitation. And they are voting another person who is expert in exploitation. Okay. So he's saying that, say, somebody who is a very expert in exploitation, why he will love you here? He'll not have any love for you. He'll have the love for tendency of exploitation. Right? So this is another interesting perspective. Therefore, on the contrary, there is Maharaj Yudhishthira, as we have discussed his consciousness in the last two sessions. He was so humble that he was taking the onus of this will not work actually, that other one only will work, but
It is not.
uh,
We're checking both.
okay. So so this autocracy, if it is a trained autocracy, there is no issue. The autocrat is not acting as an autocrat, but out of love and affection. It is different from an autocrat or a democrat who is being voted by any kind of exploiters. Okay? So now let us go on and see this. This is a beautiful paragraph. The last paragraph of this particular verse. Probably I would request all of you to read and reread this purport. Because we have been taught into nonsensical education. Right? For last more than 150 years, or maybe now almost getting to 175 years, Macaulay system of education has been very much, overwhelming our minds. Okay. All whatever this theories of economic development, be that of J. Marshall or whatever, they're all around surrender, around, they're surrounding around this idea of exploiting the uh, natural resources or exploiting the sorry. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Huh? All of them are surrounding around the fact that this world is created only for humans. Only much later in the 1960s, when Prabhupada was going to the West, concepts of deep ecology had come into the scientific fraternity. In the concept of deep ecology, they say that it's not that only humans are existing in this world. There are other living entities are existing in this world, and there are laws around to govern their existence as well, not only your existence, and you have to coexist. Okay. But while these are all scientific ideas are there, there are certain things which are very fundamentally missing. And by the way, the way science evolves is it's all departmentalized. Okay, the person who has written about deep ecology will not necessarily study economics from the idea of deep ecology. Okay, so they don't have a unified understanding of knowledge because they don't fundamentally have the concept of, at least in the humanities, that there is some one individual thing which, will be able to explain everything. Unlike in the science, at least there is something called a string theory, at least in the physical laws, physics. So we are all creatures of material nature. Very carefully, I'm reading, slowly I'm reading. We are all creatures of material nature. Now, when we are saying we are all, our bodies are all. Okay. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the Lord Himself is the seed-giving Father. Sarvayonishu Kauntaya Murtya. Right? And material nature is the mother of all living beings in all shapes. See the italicized words which Prabhupada himself has italicized in the purport. Generally, Prabhupada does not do this. So when he has italicized and given emphasis, when he has provided some emphasis on this, so it means this is also very important to us. He is the mother of all living beings in all shapes. Thus, Mother material nature has enough foodstuff, both for animals and men, by the grace of the Father Almighty Sri Krishna. Hmm? So, Mother Nature is the mother of all living entities, and hence she has enough things to produce for the sustenance of animals, which also includes the trees, and men, by the grace of the Father Almighty Sri Krishna. The human being is the elder brother of all other living beings. This is a very nice statement which Prabhupada has given. Okay? The human being is the elder brother of all other living beings. He is endowed with intelligence more powerful than animals for realizing the course of nature and the indications of the Almighty Father. Humans are given intelligence for what? There's a for is mentioned here. Okay? For realizing the course of nature and the indications of the Almighty Father. Okay. So now here it is, anyway, I'll just finish the reading. We'll again analyze each of these lines in the paragraph. Humans of civilizations should, then again here use is plural. It's not human civilization, it is human civilizations. A civilization is considered as something like, say, some few decades are considered as one civilization, right? Human civilizations for periods and periods should depend on the production of material nature without artificially attempting economic development to turn the world into a chaos of artificial greed and power only for the purpose of artificial luxuries and sense gratification. This is but the life of dogs and hogs. This is the Bhaktivedanta purport. विचान्तवेशोज्ञातिविरान्तशज्ञानाञ्जशलाख्या चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिधि नामिनि नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणि निर्विशेषशून्यवादी भाषान्तर्यशधारिणि जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Though I intended to read the next verse and combine together and then give an understanding, I felt now that we will just break this discussion into two parts, this verse standalone, and also we will read the next verse subsequently, probably. So we'll just read the translation of that next verse, okay? So that you'll have some context and we'll go back to the previous paragraph. The rivers, oceans, hills, mountains, forests, creepers, and active drugs in every season. You see, every season paid their tax quota to the king in profusion. Interesting. Okay. So there are inanimate objects who are products of Mother Nature, right? Like rivers, oceans, hills, mountains, forests, creepers, and active drugs. They were paying their tax quota to the king in profusion because the king was very, very dharmic. Okay, something very interesting that we generally don't consider, like say, earth is going to give some tax to the king, okay, or the mountain is going to give some tax to the king. We don't consider probably oceans. Right? Oceans have nothing to do with land. Our governance models are restricted to the land. Okay, probably 10 nautical miles from the border of a country. Beyond that, it will become international waters. Okay. Huh? Uh, but that understanding of international waters also is from the point of view of exploitation only. Okay, it is not because of governing that ocean. And see, if you are collecting tax, you have to govern that also, right? If a king is collecting tax from Mother Earth, he should do something for Mother Earth. If a king is collecting tax from mountain, he should do something for the mountain. If a king is collecting tax from ocean, he has to do something for the ocean. What is that? The answer is elder brother model of governance. What is this elder brother model of governance? It seems to be very, very complex. No, it's not complex. Everybody has this experience in our life. Okay. So, especially I was an elder brother to my sister. I was thinking, am I getting prejudiced by that idea of my circumstances? Okay, maybe who was in or among the devotees, I will ask, is there any younger brother or younger sister model of governance? Anyway, my prejudices apart, okay, and jokes apart. Hmm? So, but in our experience in our life as an elder brother, we have one thing, okay? If your sister or if your brother does something mistake, first you will get beatings. Yeah? Why? Why you did not teach me? You should have thought, no? Huh? The parents are expecting the elder brother to teach something to the younger sibling, right? Because you are getting out of experience. You already gained some experience, right? Now, say, sometimes, parents are also very forceful to the younger one. Then the elder brother comes and shields, right? Sometimes, no, 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 it's okay. He has done a mistake, something like that. Huh? The elder brother sometimes shields the weaknesses of the younger ones. Hmm? So when it is required to take the austerity, the elder brother takes the austerity. Okay? Or take a whack. Okay? No, he also takes that.
The yogurt was the India
Sorry.
yogurt.
Can you
You finished it?
Yes.
Sorry. Huh? So there is a psychology within us of a elder brother or an elder sister in the family, which is an expected natural outcome. So what is this natural expected outcome? It is about the intelligence, right? And it is about determining what is right, what is wrong, for the benefit of a younger sibling. The elder brother or elder sister is quite attached to the younger lot and also quite attached to the father and mother, right? Their attachment is here, this attachment is actually I mean, the right attachment. It may not necessarily be spiritual attachment, but in the case of Yudhishthira Maharaj, it is a spiritual attachment because he has a right understanding of Krishna and attached to Krishna. Okay. But even in the case of, say, some of the great kings which are mentioned in the Surya Vamsha, Chandra Vamsha, you know, I mean, we have to reflect these things, these economic models and economic development models from that perspective also, who are not necessarily aware that the Lord is. I mean, there is one single Lord of the entire universe. That's a different one. I'll not complicate this assessment and analysis further. Okay. So what happens? So those who are having higher intelligence. So the human being is the elder brother of all other living beings. He is endowed with intelligence more powerful than animals for realizing the course of nature and indications of the Almighty Father. So now within human beings also there are different various divisions of intelligence is there, right? Somebody who is Brahminical in nature. Now again we're not talking about the birthright Brahmins. We're talking about Prabhupada who had given this purport, who's very clearly saying that it is not birthright intelligence. These things has to be seen from the point of view of actual possession of those, qualities and things like that, right? So what does a Brahmana do in a society? First of all, a Brahmana is supposed to possess more intelligence than the other three Varnas. So because a Brahmana possesses naturally higher intelligence, what is the thing and elder brotherly aspect responsibility given to the Brahmanas? He's supposed to be austere. Yes, he's supposed to accept tapasya. He's supposed to be truthful. He's supposed to be forgiving. Right? There are so many qualities of a Brahmana which is there mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. Right? He's supposed to have all of these qualities. And imagine a Brahmana who is having these kind of qualities and is also provided with good intelligence. Now he goes and sees there are indications of Mother Nature. Okay. And also there is some realizing the course of nature. There is some course of eternal nature which is moving in one particular way. And there are some indications of the Almighty Father which the Brahmana is seeing. What the Brahmana is saying? Oh, now we see, actually by this time rain should have come. Okay? By this time the rain should have come. The rains have not yet come. Or maybe he is foreseeing that in the next few days the rain should have come. But because they are very intelligent, they are aware of the course of nature. They see that there's something which is going wrong. And then what they will do? They will approach the king. The king is very well trained to be submissive to the Brahmanas. First of all, no, because the Brahmanas are trained to be austere, having tapasya and all of those things and all the good qualities are trained to be like that. Naturally, they are not attached to their thoughts. Naturally, they are not attached to their own, family members or things like that. Right? Now, the Brahmana goes and gives a supposition that see, as per our, an assessment of the mother nature. This assessment also is a scientific because there are scriptures which are talking about which can be perceived. I'm talking about now, things like Dharma Shastras and things like that, which are not necessarily transcendental, right? But there are enough knowledge is there in the Vedic knowledge to talk about how to assess how the future course of the mother nature would be coming. So now the Brahmana comes and then proposes the solution to the Kshatriya, the king. The Kshatriya is already trained to assess the subjects. The Kshatriya is also trained to assess the Brahmanas also. It's not that it's a blind faith on the Brahmanas. The Kshatriyas are also trained to assess whether the Brahmana is actually truly as a Brahmana or not. There are enough administrative systems are there to assess whether everybody is following the Varnashrama system or not. So now he comes and gives a solution, and then Kshatriya also does assessment. He also has a ministerial, ministers who are chosen properly, not by strength of vote bank. We read it in the previous verses, right? We don't select the ministers by their ability to sway the public. It should be by their ability to give right guidance to the monarch or the administrator, right? So now the Brahmana gives the right solution or proposes a solution, and that gets debated, and then the king also follows that. Now somebody comes for some solutioning to the king, somebody who has suffered injustice. Okay, what will the Kshatriya do? Kshatriya will do, he'll assess the consciousness of that particular person. How now that consciousness of that person has to be elevated to a higher set of consciousness. And then he gives his solution immediately. No some 20 years of judgment. Okay, immediate decisions are there. Wherein that focus is on the consciousness of the person, either the culprit or the person who is demanding for justice. Hmm? Both the person who's demanding for justice and the culprit has to be dealt separately based on their consciousness. So somebody who's come and saying that oh this many gold coins are lost. Okay, so both of them will be separately judged by the king based on their level of consciousness so that they will elevate from there. So the whole point is about how to elevate a person's consciousness. Maybe that person is not ready to surrender. Nabuddhi Bedam Janayet. Okay. Because the person is not ready to surrender. Not that you have to make him surrender, no. He's the very fact that he is coming to the king for a solution means he surrendered to the process of the king. Right? So still further, now you see where else that man has to be elevated. Okay, in his intelligence or consciousness. So there is so much of elder brotherly attitude is there where the king is thinking that they're actually my next siblings and I have to give them the care. Okay, so the Kshatriya is more concerned about the humans, generally speaking. Then comes the Vaishyas. What do the Vaishyas do? They use the animals, they use the Mother Earth, they do the economic development, right? And they will produce the all the necessities of life, and they will do the trading if there is an excess, right? So when the Vaishyas are doing like that, by the way, the country India has lived like this for thousands of years. Okay, even in the fragile, crazy Kali Yuga, till up to 150 or maybe 200 to 50 years back, right? The country has lived like that, so maybe there were some things which we are not aware, because we lost a lot of knowledge, right? So, so now whether the Vaishyas are doing their jobs or not, rightly or not, the king has to oversee. And so that in that way, even the lesser intelligent people, like lesser and intelligent living beings are not exploited. Hare Prabhu, what you are saying, in your system you have bullock carts. You are having bulls. Bulls are being exploited. How do you say? Hare, bulls are not being killed yet, at least. Hmm? Bulls are not being killed. Bulls are being engaged. Now, based on their ability to, you know, appreciate certain things. I'll just give an example. Nice example which Prabhupada himself told. So Prabhupada, he was also having a pharmacy factory, right? He was also having so many people working under him, right? So one day there was one servant at his home. Prabhupada decides, okay, he's such a nice worker. Even the genuinely feeling that he is part of my family, right? Prabhupada starts giving him basmati rice. Huh? So that fellow was habituated in eating some other rice. Okay. For some days, he was tolerating this basmati rice. He couldn't know. He could. I mean, अरे Abhay Babu is giving with all प्यार से दे रहे मेरे को, but I cannot eat. How can I tell? He is also in the struggle. Then finally he comes and tells to uh, अरे Babu, you are trying to give me basmati rice, but that is not to my taste. So the taste are different for different people. Okay. Most important concept is whether everybody in the Varnas are satisfied. What is the thing? Muda. The word used is muda. Because of a joyful attitude. Prabhupada did not say happiness. Prabhupada did not say satisfied. Prabhupada said because of a joyful attitude. So everybody in the Varnas, everybody, every praja in the society, the agenda is how to maintain joyful attitude. So the Vaishyas also has to see whether the next level of people who are serving them, Sudras, whether they are fully satisfied or not. They should be given money for whatever their requirement. Actually, there was no concept of money in the ancient system of barter system. Of course, there is coins. There are gold coins were there. Okay, even during the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthira, there were gold coins also were there. And predominantly at the village level, you would see that a lot of barter system existed. Coins were not really required in a barter system where everybody was kind of satisfied. The whole goal is to make them feel satisfied. But if a Vaishya wants to trade from in excess goods from one village to other village, he cannot go to a barter system. He needs another standard of economic valuation. That is the goal. So that's how when the requirements are going beyond the village system, village economics, then these things have been introduced. Not that now in the village system also there is exploitation in the name of paper currency. At the village level, at that level, the level of appreciation of intelligence is less. Hence, we should not have unnecessary systems of economic development which is not relevant for them, and hence unnecessarily it become very exploitative. And now it is ulta. Okay, Hare Prabhuji in the name of left-wing politics. Okay, now there is a Mahatma Gandhi. What is that? Narega, rural employment guarantee scheme. Okay, because there is rural employment guarantee scheme, nobody is coming and working. Correct? Kishore Prabhu is nodding because he has a difficulty in his form. Huh? Huh? It is all useless solutions. The solutions are wrong, are screwed. Okay? So we would see here how everywhere if there is love and affection, the mood of an elder brother, okay, how everything can sustain in this world, how the governance can be right, can be really carefully examined. Now the question comes. Who is elder, who is younger? Correct? Who is elder and who is younger? So within a family, we can decide who is elder and who is younger. When it crosses family, how you will assess whether who is elder and who is younger? Please don't think that Prabhupada has suggested a solution which does not work. That's what I'm saying. We should reflect. Okay. So actually, it is not difficult to assess. In the Bhagavad Gita itself, Krishna has dedicated 2.5 chapters on the concept of gunas. How to assess a particular person. Where the person is situated in which context, in construct. So much so, even Krishna talks about how to assess a person based on knowledge. Means there is what kind of knowledge a person is interested in, Sattva-guna knowledge, Rajoguna knowledge, Tamoguna knowledge. Then there is object of knowledge, that is action, three types of action. Then there is knower. Okay, these three are, there are three types of knowers are there. Then there is buddhi, intelligence. Now we are talking about intelligence, gradation of intelligence. How gradation of intelligence works, and with the idea of an elder brother, idea of elder brother model of governance, how intelligence can be assessed, buddhi, understanding. Then there is another function of intelligence called as determination, triti. Krishna has classified each of these five things in three ways. Seems to be very, very complicated. I'll just give simple examples which are there in the Bhagavatam. When Shanda and Amarka were told by Hiranyakashipu, because he was not able to kill Prahlad, he was struggling. Okay. So then, of course, not Hiranyakashipu doesn't tell. Shanda Amarka only come to Hiranyakashipu and say, sir, till the time our father Shukracharya comes, okay, we will teach again with more force to your son. He's anyway, after all, a small boy. Why are you so filled with anxious and anxiety? Hiranyakashipu has acquired so much power in this material world to get out of anxiety, but he couldn't get out of anxiety. If his cause of anxiety is his own son. Okay. So Shanda and Amarka give an assurance to him saying that, please understand, don't worry, I will, no, not we will teach your son entire knowledge which Asuras have nicely developed the knowledge. Okay. So Hiranyakashipu says, okay, please go ahead. Okay. But Prahlad Maharaj was not at all interested in that knowledge. So there are three types of knowledge, and there is one consciousness. So there is one type of knowledge and one type of consciousness. One type of knowledge is a Rajoguna knowledge. Okay. We will just go to the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18. One second, this is OBV only, right? This is OBV. Right. So in the 18th chapter, verse 19, I think. So in accordance with the three modes of material nature, there are three kinds of knowledge, action, and performer of action. Listen as I describe them. That knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all existences. Undivided in the divided is knowledge in the mode of goodness. This is not knowledge in the mode of pure sattva-guna. That knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all existences. Undivided in the divided is knowledge in the mode of goodness. With the same verse, you can reflect it from spiritual and from material also, because mode of goodness, once it becomes Shuddha Sattva, then it becomes spiritual completely. So we can reflect this particular thing. So now we're all seeing, okay, oh, this Prabhuji is different from me, this Prabhuji is different from me, this Mataji is different from me, hey, yaar, kya, all these are bodies. There is undivided among the divided. Okay? And there is, so that kind of a knowledge is mode of goodness. But what Shanda and Amarka were teaching Prahlada, they were teaching the knowledge of the great Asuras. That knowledge by which a different type of living entity is seen to be dwelling in different bodies is knowledge in the mode of passion. Okay, there is one knowledge is there. If somebody sees different types of living entities are there. Okay, means there is no spirit. Okay. So we'll read purport very nicely. Prabhupada talks. Just see how Santa and Amarka were teaching Prahlada. The concept that the material body is the living entity and that with the destruction of the body, the consciousness is also destroyed is called knowledge in the mode of passion. So when the Basmi Dehasya, that's all. When the Deha becomes the Basmi is destroyed, everything is destroyed. Charvaka philosophy. According to that knowledge, bodies differ from one another because of the development of different types of consciousness. Okay, somebody is oh, very nice scientist. He's able to do a proper research. Or even somebody else is a very great administrator. So they will know, they will utilize all their leaders, right? Otherwise, there is no separate soul which manifests consciousness. The body is itself the soul, and there is no separate soul beyond this body. According to such knowledge, consciousness is temporary, or else there are no, this is the materialistic understanding, then this comes another understanding. Or else there are no individual souls, but there is an all pervading soul which is full of knowledge, and this body is a manifestation of temporary ignorance. Then what is this? Mayavada. Or beyond this body, there is no special individual or supreme soul. All such conceptions are considered products of modes of passion. When this knowledge was being taught to Prahlada by Shanta Demarka, which is a Rajasic knowledge, okay, Prahlada, who was in the transcendental consciousness, okay, he did not like that. He didn't get swayed by that. When Iran is attacked by Israel, oh, kya ho gaya? Dekho, dekho, dekho. Yeah? Why all these things will happen to us? Because we are in the mode of passion. Our minds are still agitated by the passion. So we have to understand that, you know. So now let's quickly go on. See, actually, we have to read these verses so carefully to understand the things properly, you know. We'll go on to the understanding. Okay. Now comes the buddhi. Okay. What is the difference between buddhi and knowledge? Is it jnana and vijnana?
Buddhi acquires knowledge.
It's a kind of instrument of acquiring knowledge. Okay. Intelligence has 5 factors. Not 5 factors, 5 functions it has. One of the function is, you know, when you are acquiring the knowledge, you are acquiring. And another function is to determine. Okay. So now that buddhi, that understanding by which one knows, you can say it as kind of, you know, one is noun and other is like a verb, you know, kind of thing. Which one knows what ought to be done and what not to be done. What is to be feared and what is not to be feared. What is binding and what is liberating. That understanding is established in the mode of goodness. Here, liberating is one is liberating the soul from the body itself. That is highest understanding. So, if you're in a particular trouble, okay, you should know how much to fear and how much not to fear. How to get out of the problem. Okay, or what if you do something, how you get further stuck in the problem, or you do something wherein you will get out of the problem, right? And what ought to be done, what not to be done. Ought to be done or not to be done, not ought to be done, are generally coming from the scriptures. Injunction of the scriptures or the injunctions of the spiritual master. See how nicely Krishna has summarized the whole thing in just 45 minutes. Such a beautiful Lord, you know, we have such a wise Lord, we have as our Lord, right? Hmm. So, Prabhuji, these are all very complicated. You know, how do we understand? You know, we have to apply time. You know, Prabhupada has written all of these things for us. We have to reread carefully, take out some time. You know, when your intelligence is not sleeping, tired, hmm, for intelligence also to work, it requires sufficient rest. You know, there are 5 functions of intelligence. One of the functions is sleep. If buddhi is very active and sleeping, what will happen?
Can't sleep.
Can't sleep. If you're too intelligent, And that ideas are disturbing you sleep. You cannot sleep, right? So intelligence also has to sleep for a while. Why? In Ayurveda, you see, because Ayurveda is coming out of Sankhya. Once I asked one doctor, an Ayurvedic physician, and he's a devotee. Okay, he's a 16-year-old chanting devotee. I just asked him, as per Ayurveda, how much one should sleep? He said, based on how much attachments you have. Wow, yeah, what an answer you gave. I said, why? It is basically sleep is a combination of mind and ethereal space or the subtle body, right? At that time, what is happening? The mind is unwinding when in sleep. That's why whatever you have done in the day, sometimes it comes as dreams or whatever. Okay, so you are working very unattached in this world. Like the way Prabhupada was acting, right? Like the way Prabhupada was acting, very, very unattached. Okay. And that's why he was able to sleep only for 1 or 2 hours and then he being so effective. Right? So that's why attachment is such an important thing which you have to deal with it carefully. Hmm? So mind unwinds because you've been thinking always again and again, 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 because why mind is not able to solve the problem. Huh? So when you're not able to solve the problem, huh? करना है नहीं करना है करना है नहीं करना है करना है नहीं करना है, you will be oscillating between that. So that creates one kind of a tension in the subtle body manifesting in the cross body. So in sleep, what happens? These things will get unwinded. So we are going far away from our, um, elder brother model of governance. Okay, so the whole concept is that the world has to be governed with more affection, considering the fact that everybody are connected to me. Okay, and everybody should have that kind of a knowledge. So then, Mother Earth will profusely produce so much that there is no need for creating any of these kind of artificial things. Somebody are exploited, somebody is exploiting. Both are not required. You depend on Mother Nature. In the good old system, some 200, 300 years ago, okay, even when the crop is coming only once in a year, okay, you just work hard for 3 months in a year, then 9 months in a year you have time. Not for playing some gamble. In villages, all this is a problem nowadays. For Krishna consciousness. Right? So there is a way of culturing all of these things because knowledge need not be acquired only through schools. Hmm? So how did how the kings used to train the subjects in this knowledge? In the 4th chapter, Prabhupada gives a very nice clue over there. 4th chapter in the 2nd verse, in the purport, he says like this. I think in the 2nd verse or in the 1st verse. Sorry, in the 1st verse. 1st verse purport. See, human life is meant for cultivation of spiritual knowledge in eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the executive heads of all states and all planets are obliged. It's an obligation. It's not something ठीक है करना है तो नहीं करना है तो चलेगा. To impart this lesson to the citizens by 3 methods: by education, culture, and devotion. So a farmer who has cultivated the farm for 3 months in a year, next remaining 9 months, what he will do? He will be culturally engaged. He will be culturally engaged. When the farmers are busy in the fields, when the farmers will be busy in the fields, during the rainy season, right? At that time, the sages don't travel. Chaturmasya. They will sit in the village. They will do some austerities. Okay. They will also, when the farmers have come back after doing the hard labor of the day, they come back. The the sages who are there in the village, they will give the transcendental knowledge. Okay. They'll acquire the transcendental knowledge when they are acting. So then after the sages will go away, they'll keep traveling. They'll use the knowledge for the next 9 months. See, wonderfully using the culture. So the cultural elements are there. All this Burra Kada, so many kathas, so many systems existed, right? Hmm? So this lesson to the citizens by education, culture, and devotion. Sometime back we discussed, right? In one of the, Hindu protagonists, one of the lawyer had done a study when because before the Macaulay system of education came, the British officers were told to go around in India and give survey reports of what types of education systems were existing in India. So the natives were Hindus, especially, they were having some subjects very common, irrespective of caste creed. What is it? Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita. Then there are so many localized variants are there. If you are in Karnataka, okay, there will be this Dasa Sahitya, or there is this, if you are in the, Shaivite, you would be hearing the Basavanna's Vakyas, Basavakyas. Or if you are in Tamil Nadu, okay, you would be hearing either the Nayanars or the Alvars. Okay, so they were, this research was done. So we can actually go back and see what and all were existing in those days. Okay, at least we can go back. So all these are cultural. You would see a lot of cultural education. There's actual education system is there in the Gurukuls, and there are also cultural, way in which the other varnas also will learn like that, and then devotion. So systematically, intelligence was harnessed, buddhi was harnessed, right from most intelligent person like a Brahmana to a person who's not so intelligent who's serving like a Shudra. So interesting. We can go on and on discussing. Okay. So if anybody has any questions,
Just one thing though.
yeah,
In Vizag, there is a place called Devarpalli.
Devarpalli.
So very recently I heard the people who work at my farm, their parents live in Devarpalli. And for all this paddy season, no, they go. So I was asking them, how do you find labor? Because you're here. They said, no, we don't have the concept of labor in my village. My parents work in the neighbor's farm. Neighbors work in my parents' farm. So they help with the sowing of the seeds, all activities, including harvesting. And then when the harvesting is over, then all the produce comes. And then which is distributed within the family. Anything excess, then they are bartering with the neighboring where they have put some other crop. Whereas in my place, where we are dependent on paid labor, like you said, morning 265 rupees they get for only 2 hours, they go to the local. There's no use. Just something they will make them do, they'll give them 265 rupees. So people don't come to the farm. So because we are paying, then they go wherever the payment is high. Or any need not be in agriculture. So like it's described here, they have systematically eradicated and created more problems than solutions.
Correct. 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 Yes. Anybody has any other questions or comments online? Oh, I think I have not concluded nicely once again. Okay. I'll just tell what was my conclusion about all of this. Okay. How did Prabhupada apply this elder brother governance model in ISKCON? I asked this question to myself. Okay? Our elder brothers are the GBCs, the temple presidents. They did not take the role of a father becoming like a guru artificially without qualification. If a senior Vaishnava is there who is having the right qualification and say he is given the right, position within the system by a properly guided GBCs, what will happen? The person will guide the next level of Vaishnavas because that person also gains some experience. So then in this all will come into next level, next level, next level. Somebody else, as a congregation, they were there for so many years. They also learned something. They also will go on, give the next level of knowledge to the next level of people. So because everything has to be very, very contextually seen, right? Krishna consciousness has to be seen contextually and applied. So sometimes we don't know whether I'm applying it in Maya or I'm actually following the instructions of the spiritual master. Hence, there is a need for assessment, whether my decisions are right, my actions are right, whether I'm determining rightly, whether I'm progressing. So, in all of these things, unnecessarily, instead of becoming artificially playing the role of a guru and playing the role of a spiritual father, even playing the role of an elder brother, the system can run. And that's what Prabhupada actually wanted us to do. But unfortunately, in the other ISKCON, they went into the other extreme of, even though, say, they're not as unattached as Prabhupada, sleeping only 1 or 2 hours. See, no, a pure devotee by actions, how many hours is sleeping? अच्छा गुरु क्या कितना घंटे सो रहे हैं? Huh? Huh? A spiritual master will not sleep, right? Huh? So one Prabhupada disciple was serving Prabhupada. He got this doubt. I mean, when Prabhupada was sleeping, huh? He got this doubt. Huh? Spiritual master is never in ignorance. He never sleeps. Okay. Suddenly Prabhupada will ask a question. What time is it now? I should not think also. Spiritual master is so responsible that even an iota of doubt should not come even when the disciple is not asking a question. And spiritual master Prabhupada, he was so well aware even when he was sleeping. Don't worry, we don't have that kind of gurus in the opposite camp. Okay? Don't even have an iota of doubt. Okay? So Prabhupada did not suggest a proper system, Prabhu. No, Prabhupada suggested proper system. It is an elder brother model of governance, which if it can exist at level of the state, it can also exist in, and if it also can also exist in the level of family, it can also exist in a spiritual organization. Why not? So you remember, right, in the 2-3 verses before, Prabhupada says the role of a father in the family, the role of a spiritual master in the organization, spiritual organization, and the role of a king in a state are same. So the model has to be applied in all three, applicable. So that's what I felt is a conclusion for this particular verse. This is universally acceptable thing.
Prabhupada said joyful attitude, right? That is the last word.
Yeah, muda, joyful attitude. Okay. So, if anybody has any questions or comments, online or offline, otherwise we'll end over here. Okay. So before we end the session, one small announcement. Please be aware that next week all the KL guides are traveling to Vrindavan. So, we will keep you posted about these sessions happening at the various places. We will see alternatives where alternatives are not there, what to do. Everything will give necessary directions properly in time. So we'll now end here. Srila Prabhupada